March 18th, 2026, 6 o'clock p.m. We're still on our old time, sorry. I'm going to call roll. John Gundorf.
Here.
Bob Earhart.
Here.
John Koya.
Here.
Rachel Rockwell.
Here.
John Barrett.
Here.
Carrie Ann Dubina is not here. And Rebecca Sabo here. Let's go to the approval of the minutes for January 21, 2026. And I believe there might be some corrections that need to be made.
Yes, there's two corrections that need to be made underneath the motion passed regarding a couple quotes that I'm quoted in here.
Okay.
The first is Commissioner Rockwell stated that the previous village president, Jennifer Cronin, brought her on the plan commission to discuss architectural standards. The conversation was, it was one of the reasons that President Cronin wanted to combine the village beautification group, but it was only one of the reasons, and so this is not fully clear. And then the second correction is Commissioner Rockwell stated that the village board should have the vision to create an architectural review board, and that she is unsure about the vision of the current village board. I didn't say any of that. In fact, at the top of this, where the motion's passed, it talks about the attorney stating that it would behoove the plan commission to create some specific architectural design standards, and I agreed with him and had said at that time that I had been working on that on the enhancement group with President Cronin, and conversations had happened regarding Huntley, and that had kind of started. So I don't know what any of that is. So that's it.
Does anybody else have any corrections or comments?
Do you want to waive approval of this until it's fixed for the next meeting, or do you just want to go ahead and approve it with corrections?
Yeah, we can make changes.
Okay.
Okay. So we will forego the approval of the minutes.
No, you can approve it.
Oh,
Approve
approve
it
it.
as amended.
Okay.
Approve it as amended. Okay, sorry.
I'll make that motion if we accept them with those provisions with Trustee Rockwell's
I'll
approval.
second that.
Okay. John Gundorf is my movement. John Koya is my second.
Second.
Do I have all in favor?
It's commissioner though, not trustee.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Next.
All in favor of passing the motion set by John Gundorf and seconded by John Koya? All signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any nays? And the ayes have it, so we will, do we have to do one at a time? Call each name? Okay, I'm sorry. John Gundorf?
Yes.
And Bob Earhart?
Yes.
John Koya?
Yes.
Rachel Rockwell?
Yes.
John Barrett?
Yes.
And Rebecca Sabo, yes. It will be passed approved with the amended items as stated. So we will move on to new business, which is petition 26-001 for the Canelan School District, vacant lot south of 1601 Esker Drive for a final PUD. Can I get the oath out of the way right now and just have anybody raise their hands that's gonna speak, present? So you can raise your hands. Do you swear that the information that you're gonna give is truthful to the best of your ability?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So we'll move on to, I'm sorry, Bravo, to give his presentation, please.
All right, a little bit of background history on the property. So as mentioned, this is currently a vacant lot. It's immediately south of
Hey, Bravo,
1601.
can you talk into the microphone?
1601 Esker Drive, which is the location of the Canelan Barton Middle School. Ordinance 2010-0921C granted a preliminary and final PUD for educational facilities and related campus appurtenances for Lot 1, which is 1601 Esker Drive. The ordinance also granted a preliminary PUD for Lot 2, the subject property, but not the final PUD. So Keeneland School District has applied for the final PUD now. It's to construct approximately 11,000 square foot building on the subject property. This will be a new location for the transportation offices. Additionally, the site will include maintenance bays, staff parking, bus parking, and a transportation fueling island. Since the preliminary PUD did not contain plans for Lot 2, the final plans must comply with the standards of the DP district, which is what it's zoned. A little bit more on the actual project. It'll be developed on roughly 9 acres of the 100-acre property. The site will have 2 entrances. The north entrance will be for the main parking lot. The south entrance will be for the buses. The transportation building will be primarily constructed with pre-finished metal panels and a brick base. The fueling island will be located toward the south of the site. There will be a 6-foot tall fence to enclose the entire southern parking lot and the building. Landscaping will be provided as required by the village code. There's no wall signage or monument signage proposed, only directional. And the proposal does meet most of the standards of the DP district. However, there are a few zoning deviation requests. I'll go through them. The petitioner is requesting a deviation to allow a 6-foot tall fence in the front yard for security purposes. Additionally, they're requesting a deviation to allow for a metal fence in the front yard and the black coated chain link fence in the side yards and the rear yard. They're requesting a deviation to not require foundation landscaping, also to not require a bike rack, and a deviation to allow the south driveway entrance to exceed 35 feet in width. There's also an additional requested deviation from the engineering manual. This was shared with you as well, mostly as additional information since this is not something that staff can approve. Engineering design standards are not within the purview of the Plan Commission, but it had to be listed in here because it will eventually be discussed and reviewed by the village board. Moving on. Staff has determined that the project generally meets the standards and requirements of the village code, and we deem the zoning deviation request to be acceptable. So therefore, staff does recommend approval of petition 26001 for a final PUD for the Keeneland School District property, subject to the following condition, which is that the village engineers must approve the engineering plans prior to the case being scheduled for the village board.
Thank you. So, do we have anybody from the petitioner side that would like to make a presentation?
We do. So we're gonna let the district kind of give a main introduction, and then myself and the civil engineer, GHA, are here to just walk through the variances and if you have any questions of us about what's being asked.
Thank
So-
you, thank you.
Good evening, Kurt Rolwing, Superintendent Keeneland. We wanted to make a short presentation to help this governing body understand the scope of what we're doing and how this is a part of what we're doing. So as you may or may not know, last spring, we passed a referendum, and thank you to the citizens of Keeneland. We view this as a once, really in a generation opportunity to take our aging facilities and bring them up to speed. Keeneland High School and that campus especially dramatically needs an upgrade. This portion is part of that overall plan. Moving what you have up here, or right down there, is a map of Keeneland High School. Currently, the transportation building sits on that property. Removal of this and moving it over to our Harder campus allows a couple of things. One, it allows us to reconfigure our athletic facilities, significantly increasing the size of the stadium. And if you haven't been there during a Friday night game, I can tell you there's not enough seats. It also, we believe, will give many of our students a better experience. Our students sit on the buses sometimes for up to an hour because of the sprawling nature of Keeneland. This allows us to help reduce some bus times, we believe. But moreover, some of the variances we're asking for allow us to put as much money as possible into the building and the student-facing environment. Our goal is to take Keeneland High School from what is really an aging facility, out of date in many ways, and bring it up to the condition of some of the best facilities in the district. So I don't know if you guys do Q&A. I'm used to people just doing Q&A with me. If you have any questions about kind of the overall plan or how this is a piece. But getting this underway is really important for us so that we can get this facility built so that we can begin as early as possible next year on our, out at our Meredith Road campus.
Thank you.
I'm gonna hand it off to my people who know a lot more about this.
Okay.
And hello, I'm Kirsten Emke with Wool Architects and Engineers. So what you see in front of you is the list of variances that Bravo has already reviewed. So we just wanted to give a little background of some of them in case there are any other questions or additional information needed. So I'm going to go through the first four, which are fairly on the architectural side, and then hand it over to GHA for the next three. So the first one is the variance to allow for current equipment screening plan. And do I control this?
No, just let me know when you
Oh,
want.
I'm ready for the next one. And the next one, yep. So this just shows elevations and a quick section to show that we do have one piece of equipment that's going to be on the flat roof at the side of the building. We do have a parapet that will cover most of that. We will be providing equipment integral screening on that. And then we did a quick view from the ground up. The parapet, although it does not go the full height of the piece of equipment that's on that roof, it should significantly cover the majority of what you would see from the ground. So that was one. If there are any,
I do have a question.
okay.
From the road, from Esker, is this gonna be, two questions. First, is there a way to put it on the ground? If this deviation is being asked, am I gonna be able to see this equipment from Esker Road?
So you will see from the elevation, I'm sorry, it would be the same color and the metal panel material. So what you might see should just blend in with the facade of the wall behind it.
So it is the same height as the equipment?
No, can I point?
Sure.
Is this gonna help?
Please.
So this right here, and you can see it kind of has the same metal panel and color,
Yeah.
is a straight on elevation of what you will see over the top of this parapet. So that's this facade right here, which is about half is covered by the building parapet. And then that will have screening around it the same.
So it'll be almost, you'll see just what you're showing on that.
Exactly.
So
And-
you see what the two black squares?
Mhm.
That's what you're going to see.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
But as far as air conditioning units or anything of that nature on the roof, those I will not be able to see, correct?
This is the only unit, is this piece right here, and it will have
Some screening.
integral screening around it, so the screening actually hangs off the unit, as well as being half screened additionally by the parapet. So,
Will the screening go around the entire unit?
correct, yes,
And it'll match the parapet screen?
correct.
Okay.
It will match the metal panel
Yeah.
material.
Let me elaborate for you guys a little bit. So this wasn't like a required deviation they need, because our code does only make it them screen with the parapet wall. It doesn't say it has to go the entire length of the building.
Okay.
We suggested during our review to take it the entire length of the building based on previous feedback we've received from the plan commission and boards in the past. Just advising them, this is the feedback we received. We didn't tell them they have to do this, but we threw it out there, so that's why they're discussing it now, because it has came up in the past.
They already met the code.
Okay.
Thank you.
And as far as putting the equipment on the ground?
So it feeds directly into the mezzanine of this building behind.
The workspace?
Yeah, so it being on the ground would be, you'd actually probably end up having to see ductwork outside, and then we'd have to do multiple screenings to cover that.
Okay, thank you.
That seems well thought out. Are we you doing a presentation for each one of these that you're asking for?
We
or-
did, yes, so
Okay.
if there's no other questions, we can always jump back, I can skip to the next one.
Is this is that a basic model of
Yeah.
prototypical of what you would see?
Yeah, you can see them all over.
different-
Generally, when you ever see like a piece of equipment that's up high that has that, like, a lot of times they use the dark gray, we're gonna use one that
Okay.
matches
Mhm.
this, but it's that metal.
And the overall architecture is similar
This one,
to.
John, I think is closest to what Geneva has up on
Okay.
Kessler Road.
Okay.
other than the expansion that they put on for the bus storage.
Okay.
We can go to the next one.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next one is 2 and 3 is the fencing, so we did reach out to make sure that this was acceptable before we submitted the second round of responses to the comments that the village provided. And this was to provide a chain link, black vinyl coated fence at the side yard and backyard, so not immediately to view from Esker, and then change to the decorative black ornamental fencing at the front that would be able to be seen from the street. And then we also, part of that was asking to do a 6-foot high fence so that we could use that for security purposes, deterring people from wanting to be in with the buses.
Is there a better map that shows the improvements on the entire lot two? Because we're seeing just a kind of a portion of this. We're showing the 2 parking lots in the building, but not really on all of lot two, kind of how it.
I think I
So like a
covered
site
that.
plan?
See the stormwater considerations too? Is there something that shows that on there?
So this would be the overall site plan.
Thank you.
No, there's no,
Yeah,
I was
there-
looking for all of the soils and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
I was
No.
trying to see if there was an overall site plan that would show like, retention pond and all that would be part of this lot development. Is that something that
Okay.
is available?
I'll let him.
So we don't have an overall, I guess, aerial or map right now, for the site, but in general, this is on kind of just south of the existing kind of access road to Harder, on the south and southwest side of Harder. And the detention facility that was built as part of that original, design is east of this location. So there's a drainage swale that is on the south end of the parking lot for Harder. So there's a lot of growth in that area, and then that water transmits. There's some surface water, a pond that's actually on the southeast side of the Harder School. So that is the facility that this project ties into. So we are creating new connections to the swale that is now going to be in between this facility and the existing Harder School. And then the stormwater will transmit down that existing swale to the existing detention
And
facility.
that detention area takes in the whole site,
Correct.
correct?
Yes.
Plus the off-site road improvements for Harder Road, if I remember correctly.
For Esker, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the site plan that we're seeing in with the parking lots on it, that's running parallel with the line that kind of runs
Yeah,
northwest.
you might want to pull that up a little
Yeah,
bit for
there.
the tree
Okay.
line.
Right there.
Okay, okay, I just. Okay. That helps, because I was trying to see where this is at. So if this is taken a portion of lot two, then are there plans for the rest of lot two at this point, or right now this is just taking that kind of northern corner of that?
Right now, this is just for that 9 acres in the northwest.
Okay,
Yeah, there's no plan right now for further
okay.
development.
Can you,
But that's
order
where the
that
high school is ultimately going to
order
go.
out?
That was with, when the original,
location.
when all this was originally developed and all the detention was provided, there was a master plan done for potential future high school at that location, correct?
So the retention pond that's there will handle anything that's part of that whole development, right?
That was what it was designed for, yes.
I think it'd be roughly
Trying to
like
see the big
where the
picture.
mouse is.
So the district owns all that 100 acres?
Yeah, I forgot the road on the name on the south that it goes down to.
Goes down to Wheeler.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So there's that, you can kind of see the different, farm colors. So the lighter colors are what the district has land rights to.
Anybody else have questions for,
Not on this.
No?
thank you.
Yeah, so we'll go into the landscape really quick. So we are providing quite a bit of landscaping on this project, and the main reason for the deviation on the foundation screening, so the bigger image on your left side The gray's a little hard to see, but we have some green, some gray, and some yellow. The green area is where we're putting landscape plantings along the foundation in those areas, and we're leveraging those areas and more where people are gonna be. So when bus drivers are coming from the parking lot to go into the building, there's a small concrete patio next to that as well, but those are areas where we are doing some landscape plantings along the building. The gray areas, which are the darker, thicker lines, are areas where there's hardscape, so that's where there's asphalt that goes up to the overhead bays for the maintenance of the vehicles, as well as along the concrete that's there for walkways. And the yellow area is where we're proposing to have turf grass. So those yellow areas are where we're deviating from your zoning code in this area for foundation landscaping. And part of the main reason that we're kind of separating those areas is partly for maintenance, but also we wanted to have the landscaping more where people are going to be coming in and out of the building. So we wanted to make sure the parking lot was done appropriately, as well as the route to go into the building. And this, no one should be back in the closed off area. That's not an employee of the district that's doing maintenance work on buses, or the bus drivers themselves. So if anyone were to come to the facility that's public facing, they would be going through an area that would be landscaped accordingly.
Question.
Yeah.
We've been very lucky. I know it's only been a couple times in the last 50 years that I've been here that we've had vandalism done to the buses. Is the landscaping going to be done well enough where you're going to hide what you want to do, but at least give patrolmen and the public driving by the ability to see in to make sure nothing's being vandalized?
So that's part of some of the landscaping of why we're concentrating it by the parking lot. So we do not have screening for the fences. The only screening that's happening back by the bus area is there's a trash enclosure. That's masonry enclosure. That's not on the docket here because we're meeting the zoning code for that. We have some landscaping around there. That's gonna be the biggest, I guess, site hindrance for emergency personnel for seeing someone back in that area.
Because the other thing I noticed, unless I missed it, I didn't see any lighting within that, in the parking.
Or security cameras.
Because I know St. Charles, I went by the one on St. Charles up at Peck and 38th. I noticed theirs is rather dark at night going through, and I know they haven't had much of a problem. Neither is Canelan, but you just never know.
So we did submit the photometric requirement to the village, and that was acceptable as it was submitted. Oh, I think we moved a light post that was in one of the walkways, but.
Oh, I didn't see it on the plans that we had,
Okay.
that we were given.
Okay.
And that was one of my big concerns is putting all of that electrical work. And the only other question I had with that was, are you going to have any electrical outlets through the parking lot and through the area to plug in?
We do. We will have outlets to plug in the buses. Heat blocks. They're
Yeah.
not electric vehicles.
Okay.
On the landscape, how much of it is mowable?
The turf grass, we are pretty much all of it based on the village code, engineering code requirements. So everything that we're touching is mowable.
But how much after the blacktop, after the bus barn?
In terms of like
As
the
far as like the
project area?
entrance? Yeah, like
Um,
as far as the front portion of, how much of that is left to mow? Half acre, acre?
Don't know if I can commit to an answer right now on that.
Okay.
But out of our frontage, we have 2 driveways that are proposed. And I believe the overall dimension's a couple hundred feet, and only 50 of it is driveway. So roughly a quarter would be pavement. But the parking lots are set kind of back quite a bit. So we're not having parking lots right along Esker Drive. So there'll be quite a bit of turf grass that's separating the building and the pavement areas from, the main circulation areas from Esker.
And on the frontage?
That's
As
the
far as those
frontage.
2 entrance points?
Yeah.
You can't really say, from a width-wise perspective, maybe a couple acres or?
I'd have to get back to you on that
Okay.
number.
I appreciate it.
It's probably about an acre
Okay.
of area.
I mean, I just needed to, just a little guess, just a guesstimate.
This is the overall site plan showing, so
I'm gonna guess you probably got a couple acres.
all the area between the two driveways, correct, is
Yeah,
mowable.
that's mowable, yep.
And then the area south of the last driveway, the second driveway, is that also mowable?
Yeah, it'll be mowable to a point until it goes back to farm. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
We can go to the next one, Bronco. So just real quick on overall site circulation, this will go back a little bit to some of the requests regarding the width of that southern driveway. So the intent of this site is that it operate in two fashion. There's two main things that are occurring here. There's employees that are coming to work, whether they be bus drivers, maintenance workers, or transportation officials that are going to be housed in the building. And then all of that traffic is going to be going through that northern drive. So that's where where someone would be going in their personal vehicle to come to the district. If someone is traveling in a smaller district vehicle that's coming from a different campus property, here that would be coming for a meeting, they would be going through there and parking in that parking lot. So all of the standard, typical vehicles that you'd see would be operating out of that northern entrance. And that northern entrance is currently meeting the requirements of the engineering standards in the zoning code. The southern entrance is where the bus traffic's occurring. So the southern entrance, we have right now, we have one lane that's inbound and we have 2 lanes outbound. The main reason for the 2 lanes outbound, which is causing us to exceed that width requirement, which is why we're asking for a variance on it, when vehicles are coming into the facility, they're usually staggered. We have when they're returning from bus routes, when they're returning from dropping kids off, there's usually enough time that the staggering of those buses doesn't cause an issue, and there's going to be an operable gate that's quite a bit in the facility that will be opening and closing as buses are coming and leaving. And then leaving the facility, a lot of the times in the morning, there will be a heavy, more concentrated flow of buses leaving. So we just wanted to have those 2 access points for people that needed to go left for their bus route and go right, and give the bus drivers flexibility to get out of the property and then not cause a backup that kind of goes all the way into the facility. So that's the main reason for that variance request on that southern entrance, and it's due to the operations of the site being a bus storage facility that they're going to be operating the day.
So you have a parking lot for the employees.
Yep.
You have a parking, obviously, for the buses. So how many power poles do you have that exist, and what are you proposing? I'm just wondering about all the lighting, because, hey, it's the Midwest. They're gonna start in the dark, and a lot of them are gonna finish in the dark.
Yeah, so the lighting that we have out there is suitable for a standard parking lot.
Your radius is WB 50s?
We did not run the WB50, but we did run both the buses and the village's ladder truck out of them.
And just by chance, did you run the, just in case a hook and ladder fire truck was?
Hook and ladder is what we ran, correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
and it made it through with no problem?
Yep, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, how many buses are you looking to put in there?
I think they were 45? 55? Okay.
Okay, so that will be everything Keeneland has. Now, I know the plan for more schools and whatnot in the future. Is there going to be expansion to the parking for the buses?
There could be in the future, but there's no plan for that right now. The district's population right now is pretty level, and it's not projected to increase, based on the data that's coming in with demographics right now. So right now, we've sized this facility for some increase. It's going to be more flexible than the space that they have today on the high school. So it's going to allow them to operate here for a longer period of time compared to where they are today. But 10, 20, 30 years, there's too much to say with some of that would change. But if there was an instance that happened, we'd work with the district to identify, is this still the right facility that you would expand, or is there another location that you would have a separate facility, depending on the demand that occurred at that
So
time?
the site you have here is going to be good for the next 20, 25 years?
That's the plan.
Maybe other people might know, I do not know everything. What is a WB-50?
It's just a radius for a typical size vehicle.
Okay,
A WB-65 is for a semi-truck.
okay.
And what it does is when you lay it down, it'll show you how it
Oh, I
can
see.
maneuver the intersection. So when
That's-
you go to some of
okay.
the intersections, you see how you got tracks outside of the
Yeah,
road?
yeah.
That's as a substandard intersection,
Okay.
okay?
Or bad drivers, one of the two.
Okay, thank you. I'm sure this has already been addressed, but with this locked gate or the secured
Mhm.
gate, fire and police would have access to be able to get in at any time if they needed to?
Yeah, so part of the design process, this is we work with the fire department, and then as it gets constructed, then there'll be more coordination with them to make sure that they're aware of how they would get access if there ever was an emergency that they needed to be in here. Yes.
Storage of fuels, is there gonna be storage of fuels on the outside?
There will be, yes.
Were you aware of that?
Yeah, we mentioned it as part of their special use. It's incorporated as part of the PUD because it is a special use.
Is it gonna be natural gas or is it gonna be gasoline or a combination of both?
Gasoline, right?
It's gasoline.
It's gasoline.
I have a few questions. You mentioned, I'm sorry, sir, your name?
Kurt Rowling.
You mentioned that this may be easier for some of the students waiting for buses in terms of the location of the new facility. I'm trying to have a hard time figuring out with this school being toward the south end of the district, how does the school barn here being not so centralized, how does that help? And I don't understand, I guess I don't
Sure,
understand.
so I think, first of all, bus routing is like quantum physics, it's incredibly complex.
That's what I'm
But,
asking, yeah.
But I think it's important to note that while it is not geographically in the center of the district, it is largely in the center of the population, right? So where we are right now, out at the high school, many of our buses will drive for miles before ever picking up a student. Many of them will go from, they'll go from the high school all the way down to Montgomery. So by putting it in the middle, we believe it'll shorten at least some of our bus routes, hopefully saving us some gas too. Because we don't spend as much, there's fewer buses that go to the northwest corner, to the Virgil, the Maple Parks. Most of it is spent along this 47 corridor and then down into Montgomery.
Okay.
So the projected, the forecasted time savings for the kids would be?
We don't have actual numbers because we haven't run the routes out of there.
But you'll be changing the routes?
But we have to.
Yeah.
Some of them will change simply because the starting point changes.
Yeah.
And so we will run it all through our software, and I'm not guaranteeing you, we're still gonna have some kids that have some long routes. We're
Yeah.
a physically huge, one of the biggest in the state, and so we have students that get picked up and away out in Montgomery, and they gotta come up to Maple Park to go to high school, and there's not much I can do about that, but.
I had that, when I had the bus, rode the bus, it was 45 minutes for me from Sugar Grove to go out there and come home.
It's pretty common.
I didn't realize kids in Montgomery went to Kane.
All the way down to
School?
all the way down to 30 and,
No benefits
Orchard.
to keeping a smaller bus barn at the high school to alleviate those travel times for those kids that are on the other end?
It won't really impact their travel times. There's really no space out there either. As we develop that property, we have to be good stewards of the taxpayer money, right? So building one is far more financially responsible than building two. And with the new plans at the high school, there really isn't we don't view a suitable spot that wouldn't have us then relocating additional athletic fields or anything like that. So we don't view that as much of a benefit. And quite honestly, the run from this campus to the high school is not terribly, that's not the long run in the district.
I had a couple of parents from the school district contact me when they saw this come out. And they were wondering, back, I know when I went to school, we used to have the bus barn at behind the community house, and then they used to have one in Elburn, there by the grade school and such. They were wondering why one centralized location instead of taking it and putting a bus barn in each town, so it makes it a little more easier for, the kids to get the bus and whatnot.
Yeah, I think when you look at the way that we route buses, we're a two-phase system, right? So our bus drivers, many of them, will go out and run a high school, middle school route, and then they go out and run a elementary route. And so, when you start to look at the infrastructure, having to have gas pumps at all of these places, having, we're talking about parking lots, we're talking about maintenance facilities, all of those things, it's really uncommon for districts to have multiple bus locations. And a lot of that is because we only have so much manpower, and even though we're physically huge, we run 48 routes on a daily basis. So it's not that many, like when you compare us to our neighbors, every other school district in the county, we don't view it as making financial sense to do that. The redundancies would cause more cost.
Well, that's what I tried to point out to a couple of the parents, that if you take St. Charles took all their buses, brought all the way over to the west side of town, which you can't get any further than where they're at, and when they've got to go so far east. So I tried to say, it's the way of the new wave of school busing, correct?
Yeah.
It's just to have everything centralized in a safe location, because no matter what you do or how you do it, you're still gonna drive as many miles no matter where you put it. Is that correct?
Correct, and I think that when we looked at why move it here, we have the land. My understanding that this goes long before I was here, but my understanding is this was always part of the master plan, was to move transportation to this lot, and it opens up this space behind our high school that we'll be able to make much more, not only much more functional for our students in the community, but it'll look better, right? Keeneland High School is kind of it should be the showcase of our district, and when you come to a game, we have a bus barn from the 40s and maintenance facilities that, they're pretty old, and so we'll be moving all those things.
Keeneland isn't what it used to be when I go to school. And after you put that addition on the field house, that's really gonna change that look. But no, that whole back end has basically been the same way since '69.
Yeah, we definitely wanna update that, so.
My question was posed really because we already have a bus barn. So I understand
Yeah,
your
but-
perspective as far as function and not wanting to alleviate it, but it was just for travel time. Does it make sense? This is secondary.
Yeah,
This is
well-
a secondary location because we already have a primary.
Yeah, I would argue the bus barn we have
Yeah.
is not suitable. Our mechanics are oftentimes working outside of the building because we just don't have the space. It is not a suitable building
Okay.
for modern buses. And so what we would have to spend to retrofit it to get it up to speed is just not, it just doesn't make sense for us financially.
It's still a one bus maintenance building up there, correct?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said it's still just a one bus maintenance facility.
Correct, we will only have one bus maintenance facility.
And it was so cramped when they were there that it was dysfunctional 20, 30 years ago.
Hills Parcel has always been slated for a bus barn facility.
Yeah.
It's just the matter of the distance for the kids,
Yeah.
not being on the buses as long.
One other item too that I want to point out regarding, schools are very different sites today than they were 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. The goal of site development for a school now is having a bus barn integral with a school facility is not ideal. It creates traffic interruptions, especially at the high school. We have buses that are, not only buses that are dropping off, but we have buses coming and going that are intermingling with parents dropping off, students parking. So there's a lot of downsides to
I could see it with
being
safety.
at
Yeah,
that
that is a good
location
point.
that we wanna move it somewhere else regardless.
Yeah.
See, Keeneland wanted to do it long ago, because at one time, the grade school was where the middle school is now, and then the middle school was on the west side.
Right.
And when we went, it was just a cluster of problems, and then the traffic flow, the internal traffic flow was a problem, and,
No, the traffic flow with the children, and that is a very good point.
yeah.
that one bus barn that you have is gonna still stay the same, you're still gonna keep it the same, or are you gonna convert it into something?
No, it will be removed.
Okay.
We'll be tearing down, a variety of small buildings that are immediately north of the high school. Some of that will become part of our stadium expansion. Where the buses currently park will actually become, upgraded tennis courts for our PE and our tennis programs. So that, all of those buildings, if you're familiar with the campus, all of those buildings will be gone. We'll be moving the maintenance facility, which is also wildly out of date, to the other side of, what was the middle school previously.
So that'll let you take care of the drainage so that you don't have any more flooding inside that junior high gym.
That's a whole nother thing that we're dealing with out there.
John, just to clarify one thing you mentioned earlier, so this, approval is for this site, the roughly
Yeah.
9 acres. If in 10 years they were to wanna expand this site, they would amend their PUD approval.
Okay, I just wanted to make
That's
sure.
where my question comes at. So focusing on the new facility, how strategic has it been to efficiently expand should the need come?
Well, I think this facility actually allows us to park far more buses than we use, right? And so,
So you haven't landlocked you haven't landlocked yourself in any?
no, if we needed to expand, we would work with Sugar Grove to expand on this site, rather than, you know, an addendum and addendum and addendum and addendum. We wanna consolidate.
In terms of traffic, what about traffic signals? 55 buses coming out, like one time going, any consideration of traffic signals at either Harder or at 47 or both? Has there been any discussions of that?
That ain't gonna make
It's
warrants.
not my realm.
It won't make warrants.
Yeah, so a traffic study wasn't done, but based on the volumes we're looking at, there wouldn't be warrants for a traffic signal.
Impossible to get a signal.
No, there's laws set, if you go to the manual on uniform traffic control devices, it'll explain to you just exactly what you have. There's a practice and a policy, because if you premature put something up, you can get sued these days. And that's why, even with the stop sign, so that's why
Is
they're.
there a concern when these buses kind of come out and they're stacking at either on Esker or on Harder that?
So there shouldn't be any buses stacking coming into the facility the way that
No,
it's
I'm saying when they leave the facility to go out and pick up students, they get stuck on either of the roads for quite a while. Is there a concern about that?
What they'll do, Jan, I don't think you're gonna have much more of a problem today than you, I mean, once it's done than what you have today, because you still have all the same buses queuing at the same time when they're leaving, okay? So what they'll, in the morning, you don't have that much traffic on Harder. I don't think Harder carries over 1,000 cars. And when these guys go out, it's not going to be in the prime high traffic volume, but I can guarantee you that the school district, I think, has already went before the county and turned around and got the slow children signs up, so that when they come through the facility, they're supposed to do 20 or 35 miles an hour when they see the buses and whatnot there. And if not, there's always things that the school district can work with the county highway department with to manage them.
How many do you see going across 47
Yeah, I'm thinking.
for your route?
Not sure how many would, I mean, they go both directions.
Right?
It is important to note that during the busy times at Harder and Esker, we do have almost every day Sugar Grove police directing traffic.
Here's
when
what
we
the-
have drop off pickup.
Here's what they'll end up doing. If it becomes a problem, John,
Which costs Sugar Grove additional resources.
what they'll end up doing is having them coming down south on that, or going west on Esker, going east on Wheeler to take the traffic light. Okay? So it's already there that if that becomes a problem, that's the first fix that they'll look at is requiring the buses, instead of making a right-hand turn out there to Harder, that they'll just have them go down to Esker where they can get on to Wheeler where there's not much traffic, and then go down to the traffic
Yeah,
signal.
but John,
Is that right?
to Kurt's, what he
Is that
just,
what he
So
I
said?
when
I
my
don't
ch-
drop buses.
when
so-
when
Sure
my
he
kids went,
knows that.
when my children went to school harder, there there was no need for police officers to come in and direct traffic to and from. Sugar Grove pays additional resources for these officers to come and
Yes.
direct traffic every single day in and out of Harder.
Yes.
The district covers that expense.
Okay, so the district now pays for that?
The district pays that, we have an intergovernmental agreement
Okay,
with the police department in Sugar Grove, so that we pay that bill, they send us a bill,
so 100% you currently pay for that?
and we pay, I would need to get the dollar amount, but we do pay that. We
A
cover that.
percentage or 100% of it?
I believe it's 100% of whatever their billing was.
So to John Barrett's point though, we already have police officers directing for traffic in and out. So to John Barrett's point, Commissioner Barrett's, is traffic being considered in this project? Because if we are already having police officers,
For drop off and pick up.
Those buses are already there. When the buses roll out in the morning, they're rolling out at 6 a.m., 6:50, so the bus traffic that will be there during that rush time is already there in the form of routing. When the buses are leaving, which is what I think, whether the question,
Yes.
when they're leaving more en masse, those are not busy traffic hours. They're leaving at 6-ish in the morning, and then in the afternoon, they're leaving at, 1:15 or something like that? So they're not there during that busy traffic time.
when Harder's letting out, there's no buses coming or leaving.
The buses that are coming and leaving when Harder's letting out are already there. The buses that are coming and leaving when Harder's letting out are the student buses, that regardless of where we park them, will be on that property during that time.
So you do not have any concerns about traffic issues with all of these buses filtering out?
No.
Okay,
Because there's not gonna be no kids on them. It's only going to be,
well,
it's only gonna be the bus driver. And if things do come to play and they've gotta back up of buses, they can possibly do the same thing if they get the state of Illinois' approval, like they do at the grade school down there at 47 and Cross. They extend those signals to give more green time to those school buses so that they can clear out from, I
But we
think it's
don't-
Gentry's.
but we don't have any signals around this area.
What they'll do is, I know what the county would do, the county's gonna ask them to take it down to Wheeler, where you don't have many more, much traffic on it, where they can make that left turn safely. Go down to the signal at Wheeler, Bliss, and 47, where they have to stop.
That's where you're saying they're gonna have them filter?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I just get your name and position, just so that when we do the minutes, we know who
Yes,
said
I'm
what?
so sorry. My name is Jackie Bogan, and I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Business.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you.
That's why I say I'm solving the problem.
Okay,
It's a temporary fix,
well,
because you,
That's all I have.
because you
Okay,
won't make
great.
signals.
Thank you.
Okay. So is
I
there,
just don't want us paying for more police officers and having
We're
to
not.
Is
go
there
to them
any-
and get reimbursement.
anybody else that has any questions about what he was,
No.
I think he's still
this
got
was
one more,
number 5,
don't you?
right?
Yeah, we're still on.
We got a couple more.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought we were on number 5, because we
No,
were
no,
talking
my
about
dear,
the driveway.
I think we're on 3.
Okay.
So, yeah,
It went from landscaping to parking so quickly. I'm not
So
doing
I
my
know
job.
this is one Bravo mentioned that is not up for approval by this board, but it's a deviation that we're requesting from the village board for a pavement section. So I'll just talk really quick on it. The standards that the village has for pavement sections within the community that are based on structural numbers, there's a lot of work that goes into developing those standards. There's many reasons that they are developed, whether that be developers coming into town and wanting to go on the cheap and then leaving, or selling and then not taking care of the maintenance. One item that we're requesting here from the village board regarding this that we just wanted to inform you of is we are looking for a slight deviation from those pavement structural requirements. These pavement sections we're proposing, it's roughly about, we have 4 inches of asphalt and 8 inches of stone for the parking lot, and we have 6 inches of asphalt and 8 inches of stone for the bus areas. To meet the code requirements, we would have to roughly add about 4 to 5 inches of stone across all the pavement areas in order to meet what the village is looking for. And the cost for that would be about $100,000 to $150,000. And from an engineering perspective, for what the use of this facility is, based on the types of vehicles, the weights of the vehicles, and separation between the parking for the, regular vehicles versus the buses. We're confident with the pavement sections that we have proposed here, and they are similar to ones that we've done with other projects throughout the Chicagoland area, and they are thicker than what the district is currently utilizing. And a lot of those pavement sections that the district has had operations on, they don't look good now when you go there, but they're 25 years old. They're at the end of their useful life, they need to be replaced. So the extra thicknesses that we're talking about adding in order to meet those standards would not add any useful life to these sections based on our opinion. So we are seeking a deviation from the engineering standards for the pavement section for those reasons. So we wanted to inform this commission that.
So the village is looking for 10 inches of stone and you're willing to give 6?
So it's, the village, the way that it's set up is it's based on structural numbers. So there's many different ways that you can get to that. And the simplest way for the parking lot section, we have 4 inches of asphalt and 8 inches of stone. We'd have to go to about 12 to 12 and a half inches of stone from the 8 in order to meet it. And then on the bus parking side, we have 6 inches of asphalt and also 8 inches of stone. We would have to go up just under 12 inches of stone to meet that requirement as well. So it's roughly about a 4 to 5 inch thick increase in the stone.
Then I read somewhere that you were looking to put fabric down.
We are putting fabric down, correct.
Well, as you do this, who is gonna be the engineering firm to test the compaction of the gravel before you lay blacktop?
So we have a tester that will be on site testing the subgrade. We'll do a proof roll on the
I was
subgrade.
gonna ask a proof roll with a full concrete truck.
It'll be a loaded semi truck.
Semi full of
Correct.
gravel,
Yes.
somewhere between 70 and 80,000 pounds.
Yep. Yeah, that's in the village standards, and we intend to follow those as part of that, the permit requirements for the project.
That, I did the school in White Eagle subdivision and another one in Echo Valley, plus one in St. Charles, and those were just all car turnarounds, but it had to have a proof roll done.
Mhm.
And not so much the thickness of it did, but, you show me that there's no deflection in the blacktop. And is it your own personal tester, or do you, somebody like TSC?
There would be someone like TSC that would be doing both density testing on the CA6 stone, so the aggregate base course that's being installed, as well as density testing on the asphalt.
As
Yeah.
long as they're watch.
Yeah.
The village engineer also witnesses those testing, so they will be on site during these
Couple
testing to
questions.
witness the personally.
It's normally, if this was all put together for the referendum, the money's there to put it in the way it should be put in. And here's my thought on it. I built roads. I was a project manager for the county highway department. And I was always told you're better off putting in what you need in the beginning because you'll never be able to go back and fix it. The thing is, there's many options to go in and do. You can always come in and take that other 4 inches, go in with recycled asphalt, meeting the CA6 configuration, where you can turn around and possibly go and ask the county or one of the local areas if they have the grindings that you can have them put in.
If we were to use recycled, we would have to increase the thickness, because usually when you're doing a structural number calculation,
No, I understand, but here's the thing, if it's free, what do you care?
it won't be free. We use recycled a lot on projects. I would love to use it here as a thing.
The Kane one,
Yep.
County Highway Department went and gave 40 or 50 truckloads of grindings for where that fire station sits out there. And that was all free. All you guys had to do is come out and level it. My point is, the money is there, use it for what it's there for. Because you'll never go back and be able to fix it. And then, you know what? You may get 40 years out of it. Because all of the deviations you have, I have absolutely no problem with, except that one.
Have you done subsoil boring tests on that
We have.
site recently?
Yep, yeah. Yeah, so that test was used in this determination and what we've proposed. And we nuts and other items that we may need if we encounter poor soils. But it is not the intention of the district. The district is planning to be here for a very long time. We would not be recommending this as part of this project if we weren't confident that it's going to meet their needs for the life of the facility.
I think we're getting a little bit out of the planning
Yeah.
commission's
Yeah.
purview, so if we
Yeah.
can steer
Because
back
this
to.
this issue isn't in front of us.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Okay.
I wasn't gonna bring it up unless
Yeah,
I
we kind of
brought it up.
included it because it's part of their packet, and part of what they're asking for, but the planning commission does not oversee engineering stuff.
So we can move on to number 4.
I think we're good.
Well, that was, so sorry, we skipped, the bike,
Yeah.
the last one we kind of skipped over when we went into the items that Brian had was just, the bike rack. So they're asking for a variance to not need that on site since there's no intention really of any of the staff.
Which
right
slide
now.
was that, Shannon?
That was
Number 4.
variance number 4. I
Number
believe.
4, yeah. There may.
We didn't have a photo for it
Oh,
because it
okay.
would just be a
Gotcha.
picture
You
of
wouldn't
bike
see a
rack.
need for any employees, any staff to ride a bike to work?
That is correct in the conversations with the district. We did not think that anyone would be riding a bike out to this site.
And no kids
It kind
ride
of
their
goes
bikes
against
or they're at
our
school.
village's,
Hold on.
what our
Hold
village
on.
is trying to promote, is biking to work and walking and all this here.
And you're already saving $150,000 on the ones, you know. It's
We have,
$80,
we have
right?
space for a bike rack if it is needed.
I was just gonna ask
I would say.
if there's no intention of it now, staff might change and intentions might change in the future, so why not just put it in there now? Have it if it's needed, or maybe somebody will look at it saying, yeah, I really should ride my bike to work today,
Yeah.
or when it's nice.
I'm
you
just
know.
trying to think
Just,
how
it is,
safe it is to get there on a bike.
Well, that's irrelevant. The issue is, that's irrelevant, how safe it is or not safe to go here or to ride a bike to Jewel or wherever you wanna go.
Yeah.
The issue is, do they have a bike rack installed? And I would see,
Does the middle
No
school have
reason
one
why
out
it
there
shouldn't.
now?
Does the middle school have bike racks?
No, if it does.
Because if they don't have it, I don't see why you would have it here.
So, because of where the middle school is, it's not deemed safe. We have 0 students that are walkers, because we don't have walkers, we don't have bike racks. Based on the way we have to transport students, based on state law, that is not considered a safe mode of operation for our students to get there.
If in the future the village feels as though if, let's just say I decide, you know what, I'm okay with the bike rack, if in the future requests start coming in, E1 comes in, business district comes in, and all of a sudden it's needed, and we come back to you and ask for the installation.
Should the situation change where I think it's safe, you know, where.
Oh, well, we're developing, sure.
Yeah, so I think then, yeah, we would consider putting in a bike rack.
but you're not gonna have the money then.
I'm sure we can find the cash for a bike
I would
rack.
hope. I don't know, I just don't see why it's even an issue.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think some of it, and maybe this is just us, and I'm not sure this is our hill to die on, but these bus drivers are arriving at 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. It's not a lit road. You know, I recognize that it's personal choice, but it's not a wide road. It's not well lit. They oftentimes, to your point earlier, come before the sun and leave after the sun, and we just, you know, we didn't feel it was something that was pertinent.
I think if we could if there could be provisions made to add them in the future, so there's a space for them,
Some flexibility.
so that, and down the road, you can't say, well, there's no room for them, I'm sorry. So if it would be a location that they could be added, I think.
With
we-
on the sidewalks.
Plenty of space.
Plenty of space on the sidewalk and on the concrete where we could add that.
Okay.
I mean, I agree, I don't think anybody's really gonna take one either, but I mean, you know, the issue is, you know, do you put one in or do you not? And, you know, for the economy of scale, it's
Right.
not necessarily a big issue, you know.
Well, when they have the bike riding races, you know, it may come into use.
Maybe the
Yeah.
savings,
Why on the
well,
bus
maybe
stop?
the savings of the base they don't wanna put in, they can put in more bike paths.
That one for another day.
Kill the cost
petitioner
of 47.
would like to present.
No, those
to
are all
us.
the items, thank you.
Thank you very much, thank you. Okay, so we will, close the petition portion of it and then open it up for discussion on this panel.
Public comment.
Public comment.
Public comment, I'm sorry, I have a paper here.
Or actually,
They would just vote at this point.
We have a couple of people,
I just,
You would
no,
just discuss
commissioner discussion
and then vote on it.
and then, okay,
sorry.
it was right the first time, look. Okay, so, does anybody have anything that they'd like to discuss about everything that we've heard here tonight?
No, I understand everything.
No last minute questions or concerns?
I do, but I'll wait for all the other commissioners to speak, if they are going to.
I think it sounds like you might have your opportunity there, Rachel.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
You have it,
There I go.
okay.
Okay, so, for me, I think this is great for the bus barn to be coming in this location, it's been long discussed. I drove to Harder Middle School, I have had a conversation with Superintendent Rowling. My biggest issue with a lot of these deviations is and this isn't just the school district, this is school districts, this is governmental entities generally speaking. Once something is put in, they don't look at it again, they get onto their business, taking care of the property, upkeep to it, managing the potholes, managing the landscaping, managing the paints, the scuffs, all of it just goes to the wayside because the focus is the children. And in this particular case, it's the children. But I think that this is the case in a police building, it's in every governmental building. I went to Harder the other day and I took pictures all throughout. And for me personally, the chain link fencing, I took photos of. I will ask that my email to the other commissioners be forwarded to the trustees with my suggestions and recommendations. We have potentially at the moment, of course, planning and zoning can change in 2 years, 5 years, or whenever somebody brings something forward. But the chain link is totally disintegrated around all of the athletic facilities. And as a commissioner and as a taxpayer, when something is brought in front of me specifically, I'm gonna look at the whole picture as a parent with my 3 kids and my kids going through school for the next 15 years and playing on these tennis courts or whatever it might be. So as things are coming forward, we are wanting to ensure that how things look and function from a maintenance perspective, not wanting to put the burden for chasing down ordinances on the municipality, encouraging the appropriate stuff to be installed to start with. And so if I just look at the chain link fencing, I'm a hard no for the chain link fencing. We have estate residential that's right next door to this property, and we also have B3. Now maybe that changes, but right now, if we wanna think in 5 or 10 years what could come there, having a chain link fence run down the entire perimeter of the property except for just the front portion could be a hindrance to potential property, especially if it all is faded away like this is after 12 or 15 years, which is just a natural, normal fade away. Kurt and I have talked about the upkeep and the upkeep of the facilities as far as landscaping goes, and that falling on parents that are part of beautification committees on these buildings. And he's gonna get back to me on that, but that's just a small piece of the bigger piece. So for me personally, there's additional recommendations on here. I took photos of Harder Middle School itself and the coloration of the building that you have. In my opinion, I will make the suggestion based on your multi-purpose building here that's right on your campus. I would like to see the bus barn look to be like part of a campus tie-in with the original coloration of Harder Middle School. Your multi-use building does not tie into the school. I would like to see the bus barn, the darker gray color that is already attached to Harder Middle School. Bravo, could you just go down again? So I think they're looking.
Is there one more?
I'm concerned that the color that is on the sheet is gonna look dirty, and it doesn't really look campus. It doesn't tie in, go up with for the awning, the industrial awning. So on these industrial awnings are all over Harder Middle School. And because the architect at the time did that design feature, the school is very updated for how old the school is. I believe the bus barn color being that darker gray in combination with the brick that's proposed would look more transitional, updated, and it would keep it from looking dirty from all of the wind and the dust and the dirt from all of the farms being adjacent to it. Nobody has to do it, it's just something I thought that I would put in front of you guys as a consideration. It's your building, you can make it whatever color you would like. The other thing that I thought there was a missed opportunity on this multi-use building at Harder is all of the children, including my own children, we would go out there for track events and soccer and everything else, or any of the kids that are playing at the new Harder Park. I'm sorry, I think it's the Harder Park, that the park district that we installed over there. There's no badging for nights anywhere. And, Sign Effects does beautiful vinyl badging. I would love to see a night vinyl badge on the front of the street-facing portion of this bus barn. So at least everybody knows in this fleet that it's carrying a bunch of nights. I think our community just saw with the basketball, the boys' basketball, the whole town shut down to go and, participate in the boys' basketball. So I think from a team spirit perspective, that multi-use building really missed an opportunity because everybody goes out there to watch their kids in sporting events, and there is no sign of team spirit anywhere on that multi-purpose building. That multi-purpose building has a brown roof, does not match the roof coloration on the building. The brick appears to be similar color, and then it's kind of a taupey brown gray. It just looks very, very dirty. Again, the deviation request for me as a taxpayer, I trust my Public Works Department. If my Public Works Department has done their own studies and has come to determination that we need a higher grade road, then I have to assume, because I trust my Public Works Department, that they've done their due diligence with their own with our own engineering department, that's in fact what we need. And as far as the fencing goes, I have concerns, as I mentioned, about the deterioration of the black chain link and also how that might hinder any potential future projects that are E1 and B3 that are directly adjacent to it, based on what that might look like in 10 years or 15 years. So as a taxpayer, I understand the need for wanting to spend your money as many places you can and get as much as you can, but we pay for all of it. We pay for the paper clips, we pay for the kids, we pay for the athletics, we pay for all the repairs. So that's how I feel about the deviations, and those will be my suggestions to the village trustees. And I'm all for the bus barn. I don't have any problem with your project, and its location. So.
Before I make any comments on what I needed to know or like to say, is there anybody else that has any comments or wishes?
I'm done.
With regards to the landscaping, I kind of understand why you wouldn't want to put anything around the foundation. But with regards to the landscaping, I would like there to be noted that any of the landscape items that die, become missing, or are deteriorated in any way, that they be replaced within the same season. So that way it's kind of put there that needs to be maintained and maintained in a reasonable amount of time. And then with regards to the fence, I understand why you want to put a chain link fence in some of that area there and have the more decorative fence where people can see it. I worry about, I want to say this delicately because I don't want to say that the kids in Keeneland School District are bad kids, because they're not. But, sometimes you get a bad egg, and chain link fences are easy to climb, I guess, and whether it's a kid or it's an adult of any reason. I just feel like chain link fences are easy to climb and easy to access. I would like to see the same fence all the way around. But that's just my opinion. So it's not something that, unless it's something that everybody agrees on, I just feel that the fence would be better as the decorative all the way around. And that if for any reason, I would like it to be noted that if that fence becomes damaged in any way, that it's repaired in a workmanship-like manner within a reasonable amount of time. So maybe that can be noted. But that's the only two items that I have. After listening to Rachel though, I totally agree with the team spirit thing. You are right, I wish there was more of like a sign that kind of advertises to everybody, this is Canelan territory, it's Canelan country. You know, it would make more sense for team spirit, but that's all I had.
I did forget to say one thing on the landscaping. I agree with Rebecca. Just where the entrances are is fine for me, but I will say that the village president, I'm head of beautification committee for the village, in addition to being a plan commissioner. And President Stillwell, we are working really, really diligently on our Monarch project. And any development that's coming in, because we're rural and corn, we need as many trees as we can get. So I'm totally fine with the deviations, but it would be really nice if on the front portion of the property where it's just all grass, so there's no additional weeding or maintenance per se for the district to do, if it was a lot more trees. Just on the front entrances, the two front entrances, not on the back, not in the parking lot, not by the door.
So with all that being said, I guess we will close the commission's discussion and open it up to a vote.
You gotta make a motion first.
Oh, I'm sorry, I motion to close the commission discussion and open it up to a vote. Do I have a
So
motion?
if you want any of those things you discussed as a condition, you'll have to add it now.
Add it now.
Because there's one condition currently, and so if you want any of those things, it'll have to be additional conditions.
Anything
Your
that you
motion
will-
should be whether or not to include approval, recommend approval of deviations, and you need to adopt the findings of facts also.
Okay, so,
So are you suggesting we go one deviation into the next and decide?
It's probably best if you guys can come to a consensus and
Yeah, if you come to,
do
I
one,
mean, you can't, then
otherwise.
we should take, if you can't come to a consensus or general agreement, then we should take one deviation at a time. But it probably behooves the commission to see if there's a consensus
Okay.
and in one motion, approve all the deviations and then the findings and then any additional conditions. So the commission would, as highlighted by staff, any additional conditions should be highlighted as part of the motion.
Anything you wanted added, or she wanted added?
I would like the fencing to be completely around the property. I don't know how everybody else feels, but obviously this is part of that discussion before the vote.
When you say the property, you're saying the 9 acres?
The entire perimeter of the property based on the,
No, what I'm saying is, when you come to the property, you got the whole Canelan property. Lots 1, 2.
oh, no, whatever, just wherever they're
That nine,
requesting fence.
that nine, the total 9 acres?
Correct,
Well, around the facility.
Around the facility.
the proposed
Yeah.
facility, yeah.
okay, so with the motion to pass this final PUD with number 1, the village engineers must approve the engineering plan prior to the case being scheduled for village board review. Number 2, how does everybody want that to be written regarding the deviation for the 6-foot tall fence in the front yard for security purposes? Are we good with that one?
Yes, the 6 foot is no problem for me.
So 6-foot metal fence.
6-foot metal fence,
Yes, okay with that.
all right. But for the next one, is it a consensus to have that, the decorative metal fence around all areas, or Is it,
Yes, the entire perimeter, that's what we
around the
just-
entire perimeter?
Yeah.
Or
No chain link.
is anybody against having the chain link that's there? I do not like the chain link, Rachel doesn't care for the chain link, so I just wanna know if anybody else has, if they are agreeable to the
I prefer the 100%.
100%?
Yes.
So, just to clarify, this is where the fence is currently proposed. We're saying we're keeping the same location, but we want the 6-foot metal fence around this entire,
The decorative.
The
right, we
decorative.
want this decorative wall.
No chain link,
Hold on one second.
okay.
Can somebody right now tell me the difference in cost? Because I'm guessing in my mind, I'm saying the decorative's gonna be 3 to 4 times the cost.
Yes, it will be.
It's not 3 to 4 times, but it's more than double. So typically for 6-foot chain link fence, we usually budget around $60 to $80 a foot. For the aluminum fence that's currently shown there, we usually budget about $150 to $200 per linear foot. So it's a very significant increase in cost.
And in 20 years, it'll still be beautiful.
No, I'm just trying to bring it,
So here's just a point that I'd like to bring up. With this committee here, this table here, we're a recommending body.
Yeah.
We're recommending. When it goes to city council, the
board.
village board, sorry, then, it may be this, or it
Yeah.
may be different, and
They
it
could
may
decide
revert
something
back to
different.
what you're asking for. We're just recommending what we would like to see. So, just so you're aware of
So
that.
is there a consensus, or are we voting on this, or?
I'm just, before I can write this down so
Okay.
that I can ask for a motion for, I'd
Because
like to make sure.
I'm not on board with that.
You're not on board
I
with
am not.
all the way around?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
So then the trustees will just have to decide.
well, we should go one by one for your recommendation
Okay.
with these, since there's not general, you guys are differing.
it's not gonna be
opinions.
a unanimous.
Right,
and if it's not unanimous, then we revert back to the way it's written here.
correct.
Okay, all right, so let me ask, 100% decorative, John Gindorf.
I'll tell you what, let's just turn around and just do each one individual.
I am doing it individual, we're to the decorative around the,
Let's start with
Okay.
one, start with one,
One.
do a vote on one,
okay,
do
okay,
2, 3, 4.
okay.
Does that make
So,
sense?
number one, the petitioner is requesting a deviation to allow a 6-foot tall fence in the front yard for security purposes. John Gudendorf,
Yes.
Bob Earhart,
Yes.
John Koya,
Yes.
Rachel Rockwell,
Yes.
John Barretts,
Yes.
Becky Sabo, yes. Number two, the petitioner is requesting a deviation to allow for decorative metal fencing in the front yard and black coated chain link fencing in the side yard and the rear yard. John Gudendorf,
Yes.
Bob Earhart,
Yes.
John Koya,
Yes.
Rachel Rockwell,
No.
John Barretts,
No.
and Becky Sabo, no. So it would be the chain link.
Yeah, no, it's tied.
It's,
We had
oh, I'm sorry, yes, it's tied, so now
It stays to where it's at.
stays where it's at.
Yes.
Okay, so number two, yes, okay. Number three, the petitioner is requesting a deviation to not require foundation landscaping. John Gudendorf,
Yes.
Bob Earhart,
Yes.
John Koya,
Yes.
Rachel Rockwell,
Yes.
John Barretts,
Yes.
Becky Sabo, yes. Number four, petitioner is requesting a deviation to not require a bike rack. John Gudendorf,
Yes.
Bob Earhart,
Yes.
John Koya,
Yes.
Rachel Rockwell,
I like the idea that John Barretts and we talked earlier, just some flexibility if there's language in there, like I'm fine with the deviation request. But at some point in the future, if there's development and becomes a safe space and all of a sudden people wanna start riding their bike to work or something and somebody inquires about it, that would be something that the district would be open to doing at that time. But to do it right now, I am fine with saying they do not have to install it.
it's not really a yes or no, so
She
that's
said yes or
open,
no.
so it's yes for now, but,
Yeah.
okay. John Barretts
Yes.
and Becky Sabo, yes, okay. The last one, number five, the petitioner is requesting a deviation to allow the south driveway entrance to exceed 35 feet in width at the front lot line. John Gudendorf,
Yes.
Bob Earhart,
Yes.
John Koya,
Yes.
Rachel Rockwell,
Yes.
John Barretts,
Yes.
Becca Sabo, yes.
So back to 2? Right.
So-
So deviation stays same, right?
So all the deviations will stay the same as it is written. And with a couple of the items that I would like to add as a, requirement. So that would be, I'm looking for a motion to approve petition 26-001 for a final planned unit development for the Canelan School District property located south of 1601 Esker Drive,
So-
subject to the following conditions.
And what are the additional conditions?
That would be, the landscaping items, if they die or become damaged, to be replaced within the same season.
Okay.
And also, any damage to the proposed fence must be repaired in a workmanship-like manner within a reasonable amount of time.
Okay.
So, looking for a motion to approve this petition with the following conditions. Number one, the village engineers must approve the engineering plan prior to the case being scheduled for village board review. That any landscaping items damaged or died to be replaced within the same season, and also any damage to the proposed fence must be repaired in a workmanship-like manner within a reasonable amount of time.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, John,
Plus adopt the findings of
Yeah,
fact.
adopt the,
I'm sorry?
findings of facts.
And also with, to adopt the findings of fact, and I guess John Koya is my movement. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Bob.
Bob is my second, okay. So we'll go in order. John Gundorf,
Yes.
Bob Earhart,
Yes.
John Koya.
Yes.
Rachel Rockwell,
Yes.
John Barretts,
Yes.
Becca Sabo, yes. So that will be passed on to the village board with everything that we read here.
And then
You
President
wanna go
Stillwell
again?
wanted us to discuss, even though we're not doing engineering and not, is she wanting the opinion? She said she wanted the opinion, that's what,
Yeah,
that's what it said in that
She
email.
requested that that staff provide that email to you guys.
Right.
It was not out of your purview, so yes, if you guys would like to give comments, we can include it in the discussion.
You've got mine.
Yes, and I'm in agreement with John Gundorf.
Which, could you just, quick synopsis of what your opinion again was?
It should be put in because the simple fact is, that's the lowest part of your foundation. And to eliminate that, go back and put it in at a later date, you're not gonna be able to do it.
So, we will close the new, thank you. Thank you very much for everybody that made the presentation. I appreciate everything that you presented to us, and we're gonna close the new business. Go on to old business. If there's any old business to discuss, none. That's very simple. Any miscellaneous information or any commissioner comments? Anything to talk about? No? Okay. I do have a couple of people that signed up to speak, and I hope I can read the names correctly. I'm sorry. Brian Weslowski?
I was just signing in as,
Oh,
so
okay.
I think we're in good shape.
Okay.
That's Dominica and I.
Dominica also, okay, so we don't have any public, is there anybody else in the public that'd like to say anything? Okay, so we will close public comment, and if there's nothing else, then we can close tonight's meeting of March 18th, 2026. It is 7:23 PM, and the meeting is
make the
closed. Do I
motion?
have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
And anybody
I'll
second?
second.
Okay. All in favor, John Gundorf?
Yes.
Bob Earhart?
Yes.
John Koya?
Yes.
Rachel Rockwell?
Yes.
John Barretts?
Yes.
And Becky Sabo, yes. Thank you so much, everybody.